Yes, good evening. Today is number 2 with a focus on sports. Last week we did number 1, which was on nutrition with a focus on intermittent fasting. We're having a fun day today, so we're having a happy day. Let's leave it at that. Focus today is on sports. We have 4 categories today: cardio training, HIIT training, strength training, and rest. The focus of last week, this week and next week, which is about supplements, is about strengthening your immune system. Not corona specific, but in general. The best way to strengthen your immune system is to confuse your body by varying what you do at moments that are not very regular. So the best thing is to do is to wake up and think, what do you feel like? What does my diary look like? What do I have time for? What am I craving for, etc. I'm not going to go too much into nutrition, it's just focus on sports. Number 1, cardio. Cardio means you train in a very low heart rate zone. So even though you feel strong, you remain in that low heart rate zone, which means 120 to 145 heart rate in a very generic way of measuring your heart rate, zone 2. And what does that mean? If you're running or cycling or rowing, swimming is a little tougher, you should be able to have a normal conversation or sing along with your song or yell at somebody who's almost hitting you with his bike and still continue running, rowing, cycling, or whatever you're doing. You do that for as long as you can. Ideally 45 minutes to an hour, but if you can, make it as long as you can. And you're not creating any muscle damage here. You're not doing any intervals, so you're not spiking your heart rate. You're keeping it at a very low pace and a very flat pace. And that makes your system burn all the energy that you have in your muscle tissue, so it doesn't create any damage. Ideally, you would combine that with intermittent fasting, which Iris explained last week. Number 2 is HIIT training. And HIIT training means that you create a peak in your heart rate, so you almost go to the very highest heart rate you can reach, to 90 to 100% if you have a normal heart rate and nothing is abnormal. But let's say your mean is 180 high. In this specific training, you go to 175 to 180, 185 heart rate if you can, which means your tongue is hanging on your shoes. So you do, for instance, a 400 or 500 meter pace up to your maximum and then slow down, pace up and then slow it down, which means your heart rate goes to the max. You're wearing yourself out. If in those recovery moments, or when you slow down, your heart rate doesn't drop anymore, it means your training intensity is optimized and you stop training. The harder you train, the bigger the variation is that you can take. This is to expand your heart rate capacity and your lung capacity. The third one is strength training. And strength training is basically training that you do in a gym, which means wearing yourself out at very high weights. So you don't do 20 or 30 reps, but you try to work up to 3 or 4 reps, which you can do at your max, and then every time you train, you try to push your max a little bit higher. That creates muscle damage, and muscle damage requires protein to recover. So coming back on that, this is a training session that requires carbs to recover. This is a training session that requires carbs and protein, and this is more oriented on intermittent fasting and fat burn. If you want to know more detail about the nutrition combined with those training sessions, please let us know and we'll try to help you out. And of course, the fourth one, and very important, is rest. We often see that people try to progress linearly, either in the distance they run or the pace they're trying to achieve or the weights they're trying to move. If you do not recover, your body doesn't recover either, which means that at some point your progression stops and then it plateaus and it starts to turn down even though you're putting the effort in. So taking a break after a training session for 1 or 2 days is just as important as trying to maintain the routine. So going back to the beginning, to summarize, vary between the training sessions, see what you feel like or what you want to do, and do what your diary allows you or what you're feeling like doing at the moment or what the weather allows you to do. Make sure that you rest enough, make sure that you combine it with the right nutrition, and then next week we'll be back to explain a little bit about the supplements that you can take to support this. Thank you.